Regular meeting number 2 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Weiss, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, Council is grateful to have our community pastor, Pastor Fred Lamar, pastor of Family Missionary Baptist Church, to pray with us again. Pastor, welcome.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Let us bow our heads. Our God, who is our refuge and strength and very present help in these troubled times. God, we come to you with thanksgiving for your grace and your mercy that has moved through the echoes of your prophet, Micah 6 and 8, and that's doing justice, loving mercy, walking humbly. God, we thank you for this new cadre of officials you have ordained in our city council. We thank you for the service that they will render in representing their districts as they work collectively to upbuild our city and our communities. God, we ask for your favor and guidance that each and every opinion will be heard and every voice will be respectfully heard and valued. We petition your presence in these proceedings. This I ask in the name of Jesus, who is the Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Happy New Year. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber, Green, Remy, White, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber, Green, Remy, White, President Harden.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll go around the dais with council members for any announcements or resolutions, starting with Councilmember Bankston. Councilmember Barosa de Padilla.
Thank you, Council President, and Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to acknowledge that we talked about the significance of having a new 9-member council, and today is another significance in our city's history, and that is that Jennifer Gallagher, the Director of Public Service, is leaving after more than a decade of service to the City of Columbus and 8 years as the Director of Public Service. And this is her last council meeting with us. Later this month will be her last day with the City of Columbus. But I have been fortunate enough to work with Director Gallagher for the past 2 years and know her intention, her passion, and how much she has brought to the work of public service, both from a lens of thinking about the future of Columbus, thinking about equity, and thinking about how we keep our people safe. And that is is evident in her work in bringing Vision Zero to the city of Columbus. It's evident in the way that she moves and the way that she leads the department that I like to say that I am a member of her team and the public service team. So I wanted to make sure that we did not go through this council meeting without acknowledging her service to the city and without giving my own personal heartfelt thank you for all the work that you've done for the residents of Columbus and for the foundation that you've laid for the future of public service in the city of Columbus. So thank you, Director Gallagher. And then I would open it up to my colleagues if they also wanted to add any comments.
I'll jump in as someone who also had the pleasure of being chair of public service and working closely with Director Gallagher. As I said in our private conversation last week, I am very grateful for your service. That the work of these public jobs are becoming harder and harder each day. And as we always say, it's not individuals who serve, it's a family that serve. And I know that you've been on the front line for a long time with us in providing great service to our community. So on behalf of a grateful city, thank you so much for that time, those sleepless nights during snowstorms and everything else, the planning that has gone into Link Us in particular. You were the first person to mention Vision Zero 8 years ago, that idea that we should be working towards zero fatalities when it comes to mobility. And so I'm just grateful for your service and excited for your next. And I know in some ways we'll be working together. So thank you, Director.
Yes, Councilmember.
As another chair of the Public Service Committee at one point in time, I echo my council president and chair's comments. You've always been there when I've had to reach out with a concern. You've always been very thoughtful and providing feedback and, giving me some talking points sometimes, because it's not always black and white when it comes to why is this road 25 mile an hour versus 35 mile an hour. But certainly appreciate all that you've done for this city, and certainly, within your work with Vision Zero, I think, it's been remarkable to see where we've come over the last few years, and it's really a testament to you and your team. So we thank you for the work that you've done. We wish you much success in your future roles, and hopefully it is very rewarding for you. So thank you so much, Director. I appreciate it.
Perfect. And lastly, I would also be remiss if I did not also acknowledge the work that you did to also think about folks entering a career in engineering, especially young women and young people, and opening up that field. So again, I want to thank you for your passion and your intention. This was a surprise. I know that usually we bring people forward and we do a resolution, and I knew that I would catch you by surprise today if I did it this way. So I would love to open up the floor to you if there's anything that you would like to say, Director Gallagher.
Well, thank you all for your kind words. I don't like to be the center of attention, so I'll make this short, but I have truly appreciated my 12 years at the city, 8 years as the director, and before that as the deputy director. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with all of my chairs. You guys have supported us when we needed support. You've pushed us when we needed to be pushed, and I truly appreciate that. I leave behind a phenomenal team that'll continue to work and serve the residents of Columbus. We've built a big machine over there that I think will keep moving through the work that needs to be done. I will miss it terribly, but it's time for me to go and conquer new things. So again, I just appreciate all of you and everything you've done for me. Thank you.
Thank you again, Director Gallagher. It's always selfish of us when we lose people, but it's always good for all of us when new people take the experiences that they've had and take it into their next. So we are excited to be part of your history and that you're taking that and excited to see what your next is. So thank you again for your service. And with that, that's all for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla. Councilmember De Alcar.
Thank you, President Harden. I don't have any announcement yet because I've only been here a week now. But I do want to share that I'm extremely excited to be participating in my first full council meeting. I and I'm excited to be doing work for this wonderful city that I love. I chose Columbus. I moved here from somewhere else. And my staff and I recently had a great time driving around my district and seeing all the wonderful things from an equestrian center. We got the Columbus Humane Society. We have these wonderful things in my district. And we're excited to also be working with so many great departments, chairing neighborhoods and Rec and Park, which is a perfect fit for me. It gives me an opportunity to be out there in the community and being with people, and that's what I've been doing for the past decade, so it's great to be able to continue that on council. Looking forward to working with you, Councilmember Barosa de Padilla, on all those public services that I'll be learning from a new director from. So it's just very exciting to have this opportunity to serve. I've always been a public servant, and I'm looking forward to having community hours and town halls so that we can connect with the community and be engaged and listen to them. And also, if anybody out there wants to reach out to us, my amazing staff, aide Jacob Dilly and my assistant Maru Basarme, are available to connect with them, and we can set up a meeting and learn more from each other about how we can better serve the city. And so that's all for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Pres Pro Tem. Councilmember Favor. Councilmember Green. Councilmember Remy. Councilmember White.
First, I will echo the comments of Councilmember Dealcar. Just excited to be here, excited for this first council meeting. I will also take a moment of privilege knowing it's happy wife, happy life, and point out my wife and kids in the audience today coming down to council to see me my first meeting, so appreciate them being here. So that's it for me.
Welcome, White family. And I guess I would just add to what everyone said, that we're really excited to be back for this first official meeting. The first bullet point in my announcements, and Maggie typed it up, is "We back, baby." So that is for my intern who typed up my talking points for this evening. But we really are excited about the work that will be done. We talked at our organizational meeting about the new structure, as well as the committee structure, shrinking from 22 committees down to 11 committees that will focus us on the council priorities, and help, I think, us work even closer with the administration to advance the agenda of the city. And so we're really excited about the leadership of each one of the colleagues, and looking forward to getting to work. We will not be having a meeting next week on MLK Day, but we will be back the following week on January 22nd. Are there any comments by our elected officials, our auditors here, city attorney's office, and our treasurer represented? At this time, I request the following ordinance to be removed from the consent portion of the agenda. 0001-2024 in Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee. Are there any other requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda?
Finance and Governance Committee, Ordinance 3533-2023, Economic Development and Small Business Committee, Ordinances 15 and 25-2024, Public Service and Transportation Committee, Ordinance 3243-2023, and Ordinances 20, 54, and 58-2024, Neighborhoods, Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinances 3476, 3478, 3516, 3517, 3518, 3519, 3520, and 3521-2023. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, Ordinances 32, 45, 50, and 52-2024. Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, Ordinances 3499, 3528, 3543-2023, and Ordinances 13 and 14-2024. Health and Human Services and Equity Committee, Ordinance 3473-2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have two speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda. The first speaker to come before council is Mr. Nathaniel Wilkins, speaking on Ordinance 0014-2024. Happy New Year's, Mr. Wilkins, and welcome back to council.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Lieutenant George Wilkins. I'm going to speak against this for several reasons. Why? I'm a resident of the Northland area for more than 15 years. You have a couple of properties that's slated in the land bank for quite some time. 1847 Minnesota Avenue, 1829 Minnesota Avenue, 2015 Minnesota Avenue, and 00 Minnesota Avenue, holding the land bank for quite some time. The reason why I'm against this for several reasons. I know I have a great deal of passion for my community. Again, I have looked at this on the website, and what we have here is a rundown property. And the reason why I'm against this is for several reasons. A few years ago, 1501 Genesee Avenue was torn down, was broken into multiple times. If we are going to do something now with these vacant properties, we want to put them as a 90% reduction or 175% reduction. Let me say that again, 90% of reduction and 175% reduction. Before I bought my house at 1612 Arlington Avenue, I ran into this property. It was broken into, police came, and all this other stuff. Today, you have property that sits vacant, abandonment, vacant land. Why not vacant land can be purchased by residents or different other people that come here to town want to redevelop some of these neighborhoods? The city has all this money and all these properties that sit in land bank for quite some time after time. What I have found as forfeiture for the state of Ohio, that is when the city takes these properties, they let them sit for quite some time. But what I would like to see is more opportunity for visually impaired population that's multi-handicapped, that have accessibility homes for people that's in wheelchairs, multi-handicapped, visually impaired. Today, I called a realtor and asked about my grandmother's house. I thought the sucker was occupied. It's not occupied, it's up for sale. And that really hurts me today, because my mother and my grandmother is no longer still living. And here, just to see that house sit for sale for a very long time over there. I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilkins. And you're speaking of a broader concern around the land bank, and just ask for the department to follow up specifically with this piece of legislation. Since it's on first reading, we'll have another shot at engaging with Mr. Wilkins on this piece of legislation before next week or the following council meeting. Thank you. The next speaker to come before council is Simon Dallas, speaking on ordinance 0013-2024.
Thank you, Council President Harden. I just wanted to express my support as a resident of Hilltop, where this development is happening. I live at 132 North Westmore Avenue, and the sale of this land bank property for rehab seems appropriate, as it is going to be used by an owner occupant. So I think a lot of residents would be in support of this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dallas, and we appreciate that advocacy. The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those ordinances into the record?
Resolutions of expression 5X-2024, 2X, 3X, and 4X-2024. Finance and Governance Committee, ordinances 3468, 3471, and 3538-2023, and ordinances 2976 and 124-2024. Economic Development and Small Business Committee, ordinance 26-2024. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 3480, 3526, 3536, and 3600-2023, ordinances 53-2024. Neighborhoods, Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinance 3515, 3522, 3523, 3524, 3548-2023. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, ordinance 3594-2023, Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, ordinance 3438-2023. Health and Human Services and Equity Committee, ordinances 3409, 3412, 3414, 3415, 3417, 3419, 3424, 3433, 3479, 3490, 3493-2023. Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, ordinance 79-2024. Appointments from the mayor's office numbered A0 211, 212, 213, 214-2023, and appointments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22-24.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have no speakers on the consent portion of the agenda. May I have a motion for approval of these items as named consent? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Consent agenda is passed with any noted exceptions. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance and Government Committee, and that is chaired by Councilmember Bangston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First up in the Finance and Governance Committee for second read, we have ordinance 3338-2023 to authorize the Director of Finance Management on behalf of the Director of Public Service to enter into a service contract with King Business Interiors, Inc. for the reconfiguration and installation of additional office cubicles, desks, and chairs, to waive the formal bidding requirements of Columbus City Code, to authorize the expenditure of up to $56,662.96 from the Street Construction and Maintenance Fund and the Mobility Enterprise Fund to pay for this contract, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance relates to the purchase and installation of office furniture for the Michael B. Coleman Government Center. The Michael B. Coleman Government Center is home to many of the city's departments, including the Department of Public Service, and it is best interest for the city for furniture in the building to be as uniform and as consistent as possible. The waiver for competitive bidding is being requested because the department wants to go with the original vendor to ensure that we have the uniformity of furniture, and also is utilizing a staggered term contract. Are any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance 0030-2024 to authorize and to appropriate and authorize the city auditor to transfer $6,982,425 from the Debt Retirement Fund, Fund 4430, Subfund 443001, to Debt Retirement Fund, Fund 4430, Subfund 443009, for the purpose of providing secondary funding in the event that Franklin County Convention Facility Authority cannot meet its debt obligation, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance is a fairly routine piece of ordinance. It's an annual accounting measure that establishes a fiscal backstop for the Franklin County Convention Facility Authority in the event they are unable to meet their debt obligations. We share this obligation with our partners at the county, and this fund has never been used because of the strong fiscal management of the Franklin County Convention Facilities Authority. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
And lastly, tonight in the Finance and Governance Committee, we have ordinance 0031-2024 to authorize the city auditor to appropriate and expend up to $7,045,250 within the Debt Retirement Fund for reimbursement to the River South Authority to make lease payments, to authorize the city auditor on behalf of the Department of Public Service to expend up to $1,844,000 with the Mobility Enterprise Fund to the River South Authority to make lease payments and to declare an emergency. This ordinance is another routine annual appropriation where the funds appropriated go towards paying the debt service for the River South Authority, who manages several downtown properties slated for redevelopment that the city has a stake in. Seeing no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in our committees
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Rosa De Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have 3 ordinances today in public service and transportation. The first is ordinance 3229-2023 to amend the 2023 capital improvement budget to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the Special Income Tax Fund to the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Service to enter into contract with Strasser Paving Company for the resurfacing 2023 Project 3, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $12,355,308.50 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project. So this ordinance is the 3rd round of resurfacing and the first of resurfacing streets for this year. The contract repairs and resurfaces 79 city streets and constructs 340 ADA curb ramps along those streets. The work consists of milling the existing pavement, overlaying with new asphalt, concrete, minor curb replacement, and replacing identified curb and sidewalk areas associated with installing ADA curb ramps. And folks can look online and see which of the streets will be resurfaced on this next round of funding, the 79 streets that I stated before. The estimated notice to proceed date is March 1st, 2024. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next ordinance is 3597-2023 to appropriate $10,250,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Municipal Motor Vehicle License Tax Fund, Fund 2266, for anticipated 2024 operating expenditures for the Department of Public Service Divisions of Infrastructure Management and Traffic Management, and to declare an emergency. This permissive tax has been levied by the City of Columbus since 1987. The money is used for operating expenses consistent with the 2024 budget. Where appropriate, expenditure ordinances will be submitted to City Council for approval to procure these commodities and equipment. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And lastly, we have ordinance 0010-2024 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fee, simple, and lesser real estate necessary to timely complete the Operation Sidewalks, School Sidewalks Improvements of Olive Street and Floral Avenue Project, PID 113737, project number 590955-100034, to authorize the expenditure of $2,752 from existing ACDI 001779-10 and to declare an emergency. The city's acquisition of the real estate will help make, improve, or repair certain portions of the public right-of-way, which will be open to public without charge. This project scope consists of constructing sidewalks along the south side of Olive Street from Powell Avenue to Harris Avenue, the north side of Olive from Harris to Wayne Avenue, and on the south side of Floral Avenue from Oakley to Highland Avenue. Installation of the sidewalk will include curb ramps, drive approaches, and many curb walls, and storm water drainage improvements in select areas. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, and that's all for me this evening, Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Tonight in Housing, Homeless, and Building, we have Ordinance 3377-2023 to amend the 2023 capital improvement budget, to authorize the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the Special Income Tax Fund to the Affordable Housing Bond Fund, to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriation within the Affordable Housing Bond Fund, and to authorize an expenditure in an amount up to $4 million from the Affordable Housing Bond Fund per the Housing Development Agreement with Central Ohio Community Land Trust. On October 3rd, 2022, Council passed Ordinance 2522-2022, which authorized the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a $12 million housing development agreement with the Central Ohio Community Land Trust and appropriated $4 million for first allocation under the agreement. The Department of Development now requests another allocation of $4 million under the Housing Development Agreement. The Central Ohio Community Land Trust, or COCLT for short, is a successful tool to bring more affordable home ownership opportunities and reutilize land bank lots. As of October 2023, the COCLT has developed and sold 79 houses to families within the community. This agreement will help expand the COCLT and enable the program to continue ongoing projects. An amendment to the 2023 capital improvement budget is required to establish sufficient budget authority within the proper project. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee. So if you go back to page 11, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember White.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in Public Utilities and Sustainability, we have Ordinance 0001-2024 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a sub-recipient agreements for the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant with the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, Impact Community Action, Power Clean Future Ohio, and the Ohio State University, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the agreements with the subrecipients to support initiatives to benefit residents of Columbus and surrounding areas by pollution reduction measures over the lifetime of the grant. Acceptance of the $1 million, its appropriation and expenditures were authorized in October of 2023. And I felt it was important for us to kind of pull this out of consent agenda to highlight the work that the city is doing to meet our climate goals, but also the partners that require us to do so. MORPC will be responsible for creating a greenhouse gas inventory and supporting regional planning engagement. Power Clean Future Ohio will produce emission projections, targets, and reduction measures, modeling, and analysis. The Ohio State University is leading the regional benefit analysis and low-income disadvantaged communities analysis. Impact Community Action will work through Sustainable Columbus to fulfill the equitable engagement requirements. If there are no questions, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committee this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Rules and Policy Committee. The first ordinance we have is 3201-2023. Councilmember De Alcauer, since this pertains to Columbus Recreation Parks, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in the Rules and Policy Committee, we have Ordinance 3201-2023 to repeal Chapters 923, 924, and 2111 of the Columbus City Codes and adopt new Chapter 923 to create uniform requirements for events conducted on public property to be administered by the Recreation and Parks Department. The Department of Recreation and Parks is the first point of contact for event coordinators and has recently implemented an online city event permit process. The new application platform allows for greater visibility of event requests to all city departments. The Department of Recreation and Parks seeks to adopt a code to increase the transparency of city requirements for applications and to unify the requirements for special events held on city streets, public thoroughfares, and/or shared use paths. These code revisions will further align administration of special event permits by the Recreation and Parks Department, enhance participant safety, increase public awareness, and result in better customer service experiences. This ordinance was referred to committee on December 11th of last year by then Rec and Parks Committee Chair, Councilmember Mitch Brown. Deputy Director, would you like to give additional background on this initiative and why it is now ready to move forward?
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember De Alcauer and members of council. This is essentially combining 3 city codes into one: parade and moving assembly permits, race events, and block parties. And in order to do this, we're altering and replacing the current Code 923 pertaining specifically to block parties, and we're reestablishing that portion of code as special event permit code. Merging these similar event types into one special event application and code makes it possible to collect all information relevant to city departments, advances our communication with the public, and streamlines the applicant experience. That's all I have for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final committee to come before, or the final piece of ordinance to come before council is ordinance 0096-2024 to amend sections 111.04 and 11114 of the Columbus City Code relating to the standing committees of council to repeal existing sections 111.04 and 111.14 and to declare an emergency. We passed this at our first organizational meeting last week, but we had to make some tweaks so that we are passing it again today. This ordinance aligns city code with council's new committee structures. For several years now, council has been adding committees, and at this moment, as I spoke to earlier, we wanted to focus the new committee structure around council priorities. So reducing the committees from 21 to 11, we believe will strengthen council members' ability to move policy in coordination with the administration. So I'm thankful to the city directors and staff who have supported this change. Do you have any questions or comments from my colleagues? Hearing none, first I move for reconsideration of the original ordinance. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. Now I move to amend as submitted to the clerk. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
And finally, I move for passage as amended. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
It is passed. Seeing no further business coming for council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have 4 speakers on. Meeting number 3 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to suspend the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. President Pro Tem Dorans chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Before we begin tonight's zoning agenda, first a bit of housekeeping. Will the clerk please read the numbers of legislation in the zoning committee this evening that require waiver of second reading?
64, 86, 89, 98, 102, 62, 63, 80, 87, 90, 93, 95, 100, 103, and 104-2024.
Thank you, Clerk. I now move to waive second reading of those items read aloud.
Call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Waived.
Thank you. Now allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on rezonings and variances. We only hear a staff presentation for ordinance that have a disapproval from recommending body, or if we have a public speaker signed up to speak against an ordinance. We allow 3 speakers in favor, and 3 speakers against an ordinance. If someone who signed up to speak is not present, the next person on the list will fill that slot. All speakers on council variance, including city staff, area commission applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives and area commission applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. This evening, we have not received any public speaker slips. On the advice of the city attorney, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains and penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Tim Dietrich from the Department of Building and Zoning Services has been sworn in. Before we give the ordinances on our agenda tonight, I want to point out a few items to the body. Our agenda tonight, we will be considering 17 total ordinances that can pave the way for building up to 324 new housing units, with at least 142 of those being deemed affordable across the city of Columbus. If approved, those new units would be built in different neighborhoods across the city, including Near East, Northland, and Mideast, Far North, South Side, Livingston, and the Livingston Avenue planning area. With that in mind, we'll move to the legislation. First, we have ordinance 0064-2024 to rezone 5364-5366 Trayview Road, being 1.5 plus acres located in the south of Renner Road and north of Trayview Road, 650 plus feet east of Renner Drive, from ARLD Apartment Residential District, R1 Residential District, to I Institutional District. The requested rezoning will allow an expansion of an existing natural gas facility. Proposal has approval from City Staff, Development Commission, and Far West Area Commission. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0067-2024 to rezone 8380 North High Street, being 0.89 plus acres located in the northeast area of North High Street and Dillonrot Drive, from CPD Commercial Plan Development District to C5 Commercial District. The requested rezoning will allow for the development of a drive-through coffee shop with no interior seating. The proposal has approval from City Staff, Development Commission, and Far North Columbus Communities Coalition. Do any colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to amend to emergency.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you. And next, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0086-2024 to rezone 2476 Ferris Drive, being 2.7 plus acres located in the north side of Ferris Road, 190 plus feet east of Cleveland Avenue, from LC4 Limited Commercial District to AR12 Apartment Residential District. The requested rezoning will allow a multi-unit residential development consisting of two 12-unit dwellings. Proposal has approval from City Staff, Development Commission, and Northland Community Council. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0089-2024 to rezone 3150 Allegheny Avenue, being 3.79 acres located on the north side of Allegheny Avenue, approximately 1,000 feet west of Seltzer Road, from N Manufacturing District to the AR1 Apartment Residential District. The requested rezoning will allow a multi-unit residential development that will allow an 84-unit apartment complex. The site is subject to ordinance number 1789-2021, passed on July 12, 2021, which was filed to assist in the Ohio Housing Financing Agency funding process, and allows an 84-unit affordable apartment complex at the 30 to 80% area median level income, which includes an individual making $10 per hour up to $55,000 per year. Proposal has approvals from City Staff, Development Commission, and Mid-East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0098-2024 to rezone 6261 Maple Canyon Avenue, being 5.9 plus acres located in the west side of Maple Canyon Avenue, across from the intersection of Amby Square South, from R1 Residential District to R12 Apartment District. The site consists of two parcels zoned in the R1 Residential District, one developed with a single-unit dwelling, the other developed with commercial structure. The proposed rezoning will allow a 57-unit residential development at this location. Proposal has approvals from City Staff, Development Commission, and the Northland Community Council. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0102-2024 to rezone 7373 Pigview Drive, being 10.75 plus acres located in the south side of Pigview Drive, 130 plus feet south of Boswell Drive, being LM2 Limited Manufacturing District to LR2 Limited Residential District to AR12 Apartment Residential District. The requested rezoning will allow a 90-unit townhouse development. Concurrent council variance is also included to allow units to front up on private streets. The proposal has approvals from City Staff, Development Commission, and the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we move into the council variances portion of the agenda. And first, we have ordinance 0019-2024 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3332.02R, Rural District 3312.21AB, landscaping and screening 3321.05A1, vision clearance 3312.25, maneuvering 3312.272, parking setback line 3312.29, parking spaces 3312.49, required parking 3312.53, minimum number of parking spaces required 3332.21, 331 building lines, 3332.25 maximum side yard required, and 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard of the Columbus City Code, so property located at 880 Kinnear Road to allow limited commercial uses with reduced development standards in the R Rural District. The site consists of 2 parcels that are developed with 4 commercial buildings in the R Rural District as a result of recent annexation into the city of Columbus from Clinton Township. The requested council variance will allow the existing uses to be in conformity with the R Rural District. The proposal is approved from city staff, and there is no area commission or civic association within this area. If there are no questions from my colleagues, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Next move to amend to emergency.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Amend it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0062-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.037 R2F residential districts, 3309.14 height districts, 3312.21 B3 landscaping and screening, 3312.49 required parking, and 3332.21E building lines of Columbus City Coastal property located at 897 East Mountain Street to allow apartment building reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The requested council variance will permit the development of a 56-unit apartment building. The proposed residential development will be subject to a competitive funding process by the Ohio Housing Financing Agency, which requires certain land attributes, including compliant zoning. The proposal has approval from city staff and the Near East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. And next, move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0063-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3349.04C, height, area, and yard regulations of the Columbus City Code, so property located at 5364-5366 Traby Road to allow reduced yard for a natural gas distribution facility in the I institutional district, and to repeal ordinance number 2712-12 passed January 11, 1993. The proposed council variance includes the expansion of an existing natural gas distribution facility that was subject to a rezoning ordinance we passed earlier in this agenda. The proposal, again, has approval from city staff and Far West Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it. Or passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0080-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.035 R3 residential district, 3312.49 parking required, 3332.05 A4 air district lot width requirements, 33332.28 side yard or rear obstruction of the Columbus City Coastal property located at 533 Kelton Avenue to allow a 3-unit dwelling with a 2-unit dwelling and reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The requested council variance to allow the construction of a 3-unit dwelling on a southern parcel and a 2-unit dwelling on the northern parcel. A council variance is required because the R3 district does not allow for 2- and 3-unit dwellings. The proposal has approval from city staff and the Near East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report and view evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff, the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance 0087-2024 to grant a variance to provisions of section 3333.255 perimeter yard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 2476 Ferris Road to allow reduced perimeter yard for a multi-unit, multiple dwelling development in the AR12 apartment residential district. The requested council variance allows for 24 housing units that were subject to a rezoning ordinance we passed earlier on our agenda this evening. Again, the proposal has approvals from city staff and the Northland Community Council. If there are do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report and into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0090-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3309.14 height districts, 3333.255 perimeter yard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 3150 Allegheny Avenue to allow increased building height and reduced perimeter yards for an apartment complex in the R1 apartment residential district. The requested council variance allows for an 84-unit affordable housing that was subject to a rezoning ordinance we passed earlier in tonight's agenda. Again, the proposal has approvals from city staff and the Mid-East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0093-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3333.04 perimeter uses in the ARO apartment office district, 3312.21A landscaping and screening, 3372.604B setback requirements, 3372.05D building design standards, and 3372.609 parking and circulation of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 9-25 East Coffis Street to allow barbershop, beauty salon, and nail salon use with reduced development standards in the ARO apartment office district. The site is subject to the South High/South 4th Street urban commercial overlay. The requested council variance will allow a barbershop, beauty salon, and nail salon uses with other ancillary spa and salon services. The proposal has approval from city staff and the Brewery District Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0095-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.037 R2F Residential District, 3312.49 required parking, 3332.05 A4 area district lot width requirements, 3332.14 R2F district area district requirements, 3332.19 fronting, 3332.25 maximum side yard required, 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 308-310 East Deschler Avenue to allow a two-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling on one lot with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The site consists of a two-unit dwelling, and the requested council variance will allow construction of a single-unit carriage house along Beale Alley. Council variance is required because the R2 district only allows single-unit dwellings or a two-unit dwelling per lot as residential uses. The proposal has approvals from city staff and the Columbus South Side Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff, the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0100-2023 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.039R4 residential district, 3312.25 maneuvering, 3312.27 parking setback line, 3312.29 parking space, 3312.49 required parking, 3332.28 side or rear yard obstruction of Columbus City Codes for property located at 1230 Lockbourne Road to allow a type A family daycare home with reduced development standards in the R4 residential district. Site consists of a single unit dwelling and the requested council variance will allow the applicant to utilize the existing dwelling as a type A family daycare home. A council variance is required because the current zoning district only allows type B daycare facilities within a home that allow a maximum of 6 children and do not require a certificate of zoning clearance or license, while a type A facility allows for a maximum of 12 children requiring a certificate of zoning clearance and are licensed by the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services. Proposal has approvals from city staff and the Columbus Southside Area Commission. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Before we get there, seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as exhibit. And now, Councilmember Bangston. Thank you, sir.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. And next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. And I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0103-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 33333.41H standard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 7373 Pew Drive to allow lots front upon private streets for a townhouse development in the AR12 apartment residential district. The requested council variance will allow for a 90-unit townhouse development that was subject to a rezoning ordinance we passed earlier tonight. Proposal again has approvals from city staff and the far north Columbus Coalition's communities. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, we have ordinance 0104-2024 to grant a variance provisions of section 3356.03 C4 permitted use of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1698 East Whittier Street to allow two-unit dwelling in the C4 commercial district. The requested council variance will allow the applicant Healthy Homes to construct a two-unit dwelling at this location. A council variance is required, but the C4 district does not allow ground floor residential uses. The proposal has approvals from city staff and Livingston Avenue Area Commission. I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
I next move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Amended.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all we have in tonight's zoning agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. See no further business to come for the zoning committee. Is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Faber Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Have a good evening, everyone.